अस्सलाम वालेकुम गाइस। आज की इस वीडियो में हम पढ़ेंगे कंडीशनल स्टेटमेंट इफ ऑल्स एग्जांपल। लेट्स टेक अ लुक एट द नेक्स्ट एग्जांपल एंड illustrate how the if else statement works. The program code can be interpreted as follows: if 3 smaller than the result at the end is x is greater than 3, otherwise else the result is x is not greater than 3, otherwise else the result is x is not greater than 3. In this case, since x is equal to 2, after the calculation of the Boolean expression is the operator of the else structure will be executed. The result of the example is x is not greater than 3. The following scheme will illustrate the process flow of this example. Start variable x with a starting value of 2. Nested if statements. Sometimes the programming logic in program or an application needs to be represented by multiple if structures contained in each other. We call them nested if or nested if else structure. We call nesting the placement of an if or if else structure in the body of another if or else structure. In such situation, every else clause corresponding to the last previous if clause. This is how we understand which else clause relates to which if clause. It's not a good practice to exceed 3 nested levels. Example: we should not nest more than 3 conditional statements into one another. If for some reason we need to nest more than 3 structures, we should export a part of the code in a separate method. See chapter methods. Nested if statement example. Here is an example of using nested if structures. In the example above, we have two numbers and compare them into two steps. First, we compare whether they are equal, and if not, we compare again to determine which one is the greater. Here is the result of the execution of the code above. The first number is greater. Sequence of if else. Sometimes we need to use a sequence of if structures where the else clause is a new if structure. If we use nested if structures, the code would be pushed too far to the right. That's why in such situation it is allowed to use a new if right after the else. It's even considered a good practice. Here is an example. The program is the example makes a series of comparisons of a variable to check if it is one of the vowels from the English alphabet. Every following comparison is done only in case that the previous comparison was not true. In the end, if none of the if conditions is not fulfilled, the last else clause is executed. Thus, the result of the example is as follows: consonant conditional if statement. Good practices. Here are some guidelines which are recommended for writing if structures. Use blocks surrounded by curly brackets after if and else in order to avoid ambiguity. Always format the code correctly by offsetting it with one tab inwards after if and else for readability and avoiding ambiguity. Prefer switch cause structure to of a series of if else structures or nested if else statement if possible. The construct switch cause we will cover in the next session. Conditional statement switch cause. In the following section, we will cover the conditional statement switch. It is used for choosing among a list of possibilities. How does the switch cause statement work? The structure switch cause choose which part of the programming code to execute based on the calculated value of certain expression। गाइस अगर आपको ये हमारी वीडियो अच्छी लगे तो हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन को दबाना ना भूलें।